Well, after a budget summer transfer window and that narrow escape in the last episode on the opening day against Southampton, reality has certainly come and hit us in the last couple of games. Thrashed in the League Cup, beaten comfortably away from home by a mid-table side. We're seeing that the Premier League's going to be tougher. Today, we go away to a side with a positive start, and then we've got transfer deadline day, and we still need a left-sided midfielder. Yes, hello and welcome along to part 49 of Saving Southend with me, Daniel. It's the Premier League budget era, and despite our rivals coming up and spending over 30 or 40 million each before deadline day approaches, we have come in with 4.5 million and we are trying to compete in the Premier League. We won our opening game thanks to that late save penalty from Dan Rose, but since then, two comfortable defeats and another tough away game today. If you're looking forward to seeing if we can compete and get a result, then please do put a thumbs up on the video. We've got deadline day in which we are looking for a left winger. We still want to try and get Sam Ammo back, but if we can't, it will be an addition out there. And if we can find one bit of magic that can help us within our financial budget, then brilliant, we'll go for it. So hopefully you're looking forward to all of that. If you are, please do put a thumbs up on the video. But for now, we have got to have a little look back of what's happened since the last episode, because a couple of games off camera, you can see the scores in the top right. We've got Cameron Ishmael out injured, and we have had some trouble with fatigue as well. And to be fair, for the Spurs game in the League Cup, we did rest people because the league has got to be the priority this year. So let me show you the two fixtures, because the Brighton game, we were actually fairly competitive. We were 1-1 after an hour. Joe Hugill got us back into it. We started well, we did okay. An individual error from first Dan Rose, then from Harrison Parker, meant that we lost the game 3-1, but we were competitive. At home, though, against Spurs, we were far from that. And I think we've seen if we have to rely on much of our backup team this year, we're going to be going down pretty quickly. Harrison Parker did come off the bench and get a goal, but the first 11 struggled a little bit there. The goalkeeper made his debut, wasn't great. To be fair, the likes of Humphreys, PJ Smith were starting games. And we also had people like Dan Cox covering at left back out of position. So it wasn't a perfect example of how strong our team can be. But as much as I'm a fan of respecting the cups and I want to go on and win them eventually, this is a year where it just isn't important. We have to survive in the Premier League or give ourselves the best possible chance. We go into deadline day with a lot of budget remaining, but I'm not going to spend it all. We're making massive improvements on the staffing side with coaches and scouts. It's one of the big things I've been doing. We weren't getting great suggestions in the backroom advice, so I put out job adverts, and we got some great offers from all around the world. So I'm hoping it will allow us to expand our scouting horizons as well, and maybe bring in players from further afield in the future, expanding the way, say, a Brighton or a Brentford have. But let's have a look at the transfer history, because since you were with me, no signings, no outs. We have kept things very quiet. If we have a look at the squad, though, it's the same old issue as we had the previous year, which is none of those star players are wanted, and I can kind of understand that this year. They've got to prove themselves at Premier League level, they've got to make the step up, and if they do, even if we go back down again, I'm sure one or two will get a move. Still no news on a contractual front for Goodrum or Hugill. We'll see how that progresses as the year goes on. Might be a desperate sale in January if need be. But for now, it is all about who we can get in on the left side of midfield, because Anselm has been a clear weak link. And also whether we can find magic on the day. I'm not sure if we will. We've got to try for it, haven't we? We have a look through the scout reports at the moment. You can see we're looking for left-sided players. We have had a look at certain other options, but even like Sean Moore as a backup from League Two, I've gone to look at him and he wants 20 grand a week to be our highest paid player. We've had a look at a guy from Frosinone over in Italy. He wants 35, 40 grand a week. Nobody will come within our wage structure. And even in this game, the big difference I'm finding from what Luton encountered in real life is getting those players from sort of lower championship or top League One clubs. It's certainly costing a lot more money. Those 2, 3, 4 million deals aren't there. Maybe that's the inflation of football overall in this game, but certainly looking very expensive to get what we need. And if we go through the scouted players, there's a lot of options, but there aren't many huge step-ups. And we're probably not going to get that with the budget we've got. So for now, it's going to be a very interesting deadline day. But first of all, we have got to get through Wolverhampton Wanderers away. The dynamics remain decent despite the fact that we've been struggling for results since the opener. But we have got those crucial 3 points and we've got that big win out the way. We mentioned it before. The first 3 home games are essential. We got that win against Southampton thanks to Dan Rose. But the next 2 are against the fellow promoted clubs. If we win those, we put ourselves in that position as the best of the 3. And we give ourselves an opportunity. And maybe just a few games where we're not sat in the relegation zone. But after that, who knows where the points come from. Honestly, it's a bit of a struggle. And the second half of the season, towards the end, the home games we've got are the tough ones. We've got some tricky away trips. I don't know. We've got to get the job done early, and I don't see us staying up. But let's get through the tactical meeting. Let's try and enjoy the experience. They're playing a front 3, and this is the sort of tactic that I would normally go back 3 against. So I think we might try it today. We're yet to do it this season. Go to the back 3 and maybe try and push on in wide areas. Let's see what we can do with the team selection. I had picked it for a 4-4-2, I can't lie, but I'm going to adjust it now. Solves our problem on the left wing as well, doesn't it? We'll be back in a minute to run through the team. Right then, I've pieced this side together, but the big problem we've got is because we played in the cup in midweek, so many of the backups are tired or in less than prime condition. So Goodrum, Russell Denny, Presley, Perkins, etc. Ishmael still injured, of course. And that means we're in this position for today. I've gone as strong as I can, and I'm going to play Fernandez off the left just to solve that problem. Of course, Humphreys comes into the back 3. And it's a first Premier League start for him. It's a very patched together squad. And let's be fair, we're not expecting to stay up here, but want to see if we can compete. To do so, we've got Dan Rose in goal, Humphreys, Parker and Kwanzaa the back 3, with Adeniji and Parks the wing backs. We've got Santos and Morehouse the midfield 2 as Morehouse continues to build his fitness. And then Tanani and Fernandez out wide. We'll put him on attack in a minute as well, with Joe Hugill through the middle. Still no contract, still unhappy. The scoring goals at Premier League level. 3-2 for him. Can he keep it up? Well, let's go and find out at Molineux. Well, a pretty strong side that Wolves have got with Ensiko, Koliosho through the middle with his pace and Kaladzic at 6'7". They've got a few threats, particularly good for FM. Bajetic and Gomez in the middle. We know how good the former is from our Bristol City save last year. Collins at the back, Tariq Lamptey. Collins going back to his former club there, isn't he? And Muric in goal as well. It's a good side. They've got some quality on the bench too. And I'm not sure whether we're going to compete that well here. It's definitely a bit of an experiment in the Premier League with this tactic for the first time. And we didn't really have to play it last year because we were so dominant. But for the most part, we've been able to do really well in this away from home in the other leagues. I'm going to take off the overlaps. I'm going to let the wingers go on attack. And we're just going to leave the wing backs in them supporting roles. Let's see how it gets on today. Fingers crossed is all I can say. We go into the first half at Wolves and hopefully we've unearthed something tactically, because against this formation, this seems to be the only one that really works for us. Peter Banks in charge with 31,000 at Molineux, and Wolves are on the attack immediately. We know in this tactic we've got to get used to soaking up pressure. No more dominating every game for us as Gomez cuts in, puts it wide. Could have been a disaster immediately. We've got to get through this first spell if we don't have any chance here. Parks getting booked in the first minute is not ideal, particularly when he's the player who wouldn't be starting normally. And Ishmael is really struggling to stay fit this year. I mean, Wolves are dominating this game. Look at the stats. We're trying to cling on for a point. That's basically what we've come here for. It's not far off the tactic. We're actually playing in the head coach now, which, of course, we've been doing here for years, but we've only just adopted it in that one. Is that going to be a penalty? Doesn't matter. Referee plays advantage. Nathan Collins puts it in. This is a problem. We've not looked like we carry any threat. And in the other leagues, we've had a counter-attacking threat in this tactic. Here, it is just inviting a bit too much pressure for me. Look, we're the second best team on this football pitch. We're not going to expect to compete in every game. But it's hard to tell whether this is we're playing against quality or whether I've set us up wrong here. I'm going to say keep going. And then at the hour mark, if it's still 1-0, or if we concede again, I'll go back to 4-4-2. But we've conceded a fair few goals playing that way as well. As Nori finds Kaladzic. Igor gets the ball. And you've seen generally, it does take teams a while to settle in the Premier League. And we're going to be no different. We're still putting our squad together. We probably do need to try and find a bit of magic somewhere. Maybe we can get that extra centre midfielder who's a star, but this is too easy. Koleosho runs off the defence, and that's going to be 2. If we've got 3 at the back and we still can't mark the centre forward, then I think we should probably just stick to our guns and play 4-4-2, because that's a little bit too easy for my liking. We're going to get to the hour mark and then we're going to make the changes. And here we go. We're going to go 4-4-2. We're going to attack them. Parker will go back in defence. Fernandez up front. Parks can go left midfield. Humphreys can go left back. So we can do it without changing personnel. What I am going to do, though, is put Anselm on for Parks to be a bit more aggressive. I'm going to put maybe Jaden Dans on for Hugill, who's not had a great game. I'm not going to do that just yet. I'm going to take Morehouse off, who's still building fitness, for PJ Smith. And we'll leave it at 2 for now. But we'll try and be a bit more aggressive here. Just see if we can have a threat. I'd rather play entertaining football and try and have a goal. Because going away and not picking up a goal or even a shot on target is just a bit depressing, isn't it? Hugo's going to be replaced by Dans. He'll go up as the target man. We can do it right this time. Any other subs worth making? Tanani can come off for Goodrum. And then we've got 1 more remaining, which we'll save for a few more minutes. And then we'll make a decision. 20 minutes remaining here. It is 2-0. We managed a shot on target now. There's a positive. As Kwanzaa's got a free kick at the back. Gets it to Humphreys. And we should have space to play in the midfield area because Wolves are sitting a bit deep there. Fernandez tried to be released, but he was offside anyway. And the ball never got near him as Bamba. He goes back into Jose at centre-half. Into João Gomez and wide to the left for Nori. Wolves just getting out a bit easily there. We'd expect the front 2 to maybe be pressing a bit more. But they break through us easily. They've got a good side. We're going to have to get used to this season. Humphreys finds Fernandez. Challenged easily. Yeah, it's not going to be our day. We're going to struggle away from home to pick up points. We're going to rely on those home wins against the bottom half teams. Ball goes through to Koleosho on the right. Lamptey on the right-hand side. Into Koleosho again. Collins up to Shackleton. João Gomez. Chips over to Lamptey. We know the legs he's got. Into Koleosho who scores. 3-0. And now we will make another change. We'll go for... Who's the youngest on the bench? Russell Denny's 23. Maybe we will just give Santos a little rest because he's struggling a bit. And we've probably got to look after him, to be fair, because those games at home where we can dictate occasionally, he's going to be the important one. We're 10 to go, though. It is a comfortable defeat. We had scored in every game this season. That run, I think, is about to end. No Joe Hugill, no Party. He scored every Premier League goal for us. And now Fernandez is injured as well, the best striker. This season is turning into a disaster already. I mean, I'm glad in a way. It's supposed to be difficult like this. But it's not going to be good, is it? Adeniji with a corner. Can we at least score the goal? Doesn't look like it. Away as far as Anselm, who's on the right this time. Does really well in fairness. Goes through alone. And Muric makes the save. It would have been a good goal. Maybe he's heard we're going to replace him this week. He wants to stand up and be counted as Adeniji will take the corner again. Just want to keep the scoring record going. Parker's up. It's away as far as Smith. Igor clears. That should be it. It's going to be a 3-0 victory for Wolves. Another comfortable defeat. I feel like we might need to find another way away from home. Do I have to just park the bus, get on another holding midfielder? Do I go flat 5-4-1? Do I go 4-3-3? Maybe that's what we do for deadline day. Try and find an excellent or an experienced holding midfielder who can just come in and sort of keep guard of the back 4. Because something's got to change on the road if we're going to compete. At home, I feel confident. We play 4-4-2. We'll try and attack teams. But on the road, we've definitely got to adapt. Strand Larsen might make it worse. It might not be 3. Dan Rose makes sure it is. Good save from him. Don't know why we're still playing. Again, we're a minute and a half over. Humphreys gets the ball at left back. And I don't really get why we're seeing all of this. There is the final whistle. 3-0 Wolves. A comfortable defeat. And it's now 3 points out of 3 in the Premier League. But how bad are the injuries? Because Andre Santos was carrying one. Fernandez went off with one. There are worrying signs. We cannot afford to lose key players. Fernandez is out for 3 to 6 weeks. Now, I guess the positive is after the next 3 games, we've got a month off for the international break. The negative is those 3 games include the 2 most winnable home games of the season. against the two fellow promoted sides. And I figure we're going to need results there because they've got 1 and 0 points between them. So not been an easy start for the three promoted clubs. Definitely not looking good so far. Let's get through to transfer deadline day because I've got a feeling we're going to be pretty busy now. Well, here it is. Transfer deadline day has arrived and we're expecting a busy day. We're being linked with Chiquino, who we can't afford. We've been linked with Kike Salas, who I've not heard of, but he's worth 30 million, so that's not going to happen. And there's also plenty of other business potentially going around. Joe Rose linked with Manchester United. I'll sell him for 400 grand, I'll be honest. And we've made one loan offer for a left winger that's a little bit blind, despite the fact that I've spent about 20-30 minutes looking through scout reports trying to find something. So Remy Gardin might end up being the signing, but I'd rather he didn't because he doesn't look great from what we've scouted so far. If we look at the rest of the deadline day though, Trezeguet is someone we did look at as a scout option, just as a bit of magic technically and a bit of experience mentality wise. Maybe our Solly March of this season. He's not really got the legs anymore and he has generally demanded pretty silly money. But let's see what he goes for now because I'd quite like to get him involved if he's willing to join. Let's see. No, still nearly double our highest paid player, but maybe one we'll come back to. He can be our Andros Townsend in October, perhaps. I don't know. For now, though, let's get through deadline day. We'll take part in the last 15 hours. There are players being linked with moves everywhere. Of course, we're going to go in for Sam Ammo, and I've had a look at a couple of others that might be able to join. I don't know that we're going to be able to do that much because I'm not going to spend silly money. I'm not going to go well overboard. It's going to be players that can make a difference for us. And at the moment, there's not many within our price range. We'll be back throughout the day with any news. But at the moment, the only area we appear to be going world class is the staffing team. Well, 3 hours into transfer deadline day and I'm struggling a bit. But our director of football might have just found a gem. Because he's found a 21-year-old fullback playing in the middle of nowhere, quite frankly, because Slovenia is not a scouting mission we've got on. And he's also a very good footballer, a young player with good potential and ability, according to him. He's a senior international, played continental games and played lots of games for the club. And it may allow us to then push Stefan Parks forward and give us an option on a left wing that we might not have otherwise. So I feel this guy is worth a punt. It's within our budget 1.3. But what are his wage demands? I can see he's only on £1.50 a week. And his wage demands are pretty tidy. I'm happy with that. Let's offer him an impact sub role. Check that his demands are still okay. The director of football might have done something for us here. Still no news on Sam Ammo. Still no news on the lone player we bid for. But we might have found a gem. And I can't take any credit for it. Right then, we have a couple of our own bids on the left-hand side. The first one is the obvious one. We couldn't get him permanently. His wage demands were silly. The transfer demands would have been beyond the record and beyond what I've offered for the guy above. So I felt for Sam Ammo. Yes, it is basically a fee of 1.8 million for the 10 months he's going to be here. If it keeps us up as our first choice left-sided player, someone who knows the club, for 16 grand a week contribution, which is less than our two top earners. For me, I feel it's worth it. And then if he's an absolute star and we stay up and we've got more money next year, then we can spend the 9 million to make it permanent. But for now, Sam Ammo is likely to be the new left winger. But what about Cherubini? Oh, the wages. Oh, the wages. He's such a decent player. He's got a good personality. I would like to have him in. If those wages are close, we're going to be turning back straight away. Let's have a look at what he's gone for. He wants, yep, off you go. No chance of that. We are not risking the financial future of this club. We're making sure we're stable first year. And if we stay up, we'll go for it. But I'm not taking risks. We're going to compete. And I don't want any more than that. Lesnick may well be coming in. Sam Ammo hopefully will be coming in. Let's just get through the rest of the day. Those two additions would be good for me. Let's see if the director of football got any more tricks up his sleeve. Well, I've found a couple of free agents that may be of use for later signings in the season. Ruben Loftus-Cheek at 33 suggested, and he's someone who may well be able to add to our midfield as we move along. But for now, players we're missing out on keep going for big wages. But Sam Ammo is coming back. 16 grand a week, a fee of about 1.8 million on loan. But there's no future commitment, there's no future fees for us. We've just got the job done. And then if we want to sign him after, we can. So that's a really good deal. Solves our problem on the left-hand side. If we can get anything else done, it's a bonus because Lesnick, we've had his work permit appeal rejected. You've appealed this decision, Vasco. Fair enough. That's all right. Either way, I'd like to sign him, to be honest. So hopefully it gets done before the end of the day. If not, we might have to wait till January for him. 10 hours remaining. A signing in. Let's go and meet another familiar name. Well, you can see the potential straight off the bat with Sam Ammo. He did improve. He had good spells for us last season, but he wasn't that consistent. If he can win us 3 or 4 matches this year, though, that won't matter. And if he does reach that potential with a good Premier League player, then the optional future fee of 9 million next summer might be a pretty good one. So let's get through the squad registration. Let's make sure he's part of it. Where is he? I can't even see him there. There he is. He is going to be the 20th member of the squad. We're doing all right. I'm pretty happy with that addition. I'm going to make sure he's training as a left winger only because that's going to be his primary role. And then we've got an appeal for the work permit of Lesnick rejected. I'm going to allocate him a space anyway. He looks pretty good from the scout reports. Physically, he looks a monster. And for 1.3 million on a nominal wage for an international player, I think the director of football might have found a gem. His scout report suggests he's pretty good. So let's cross our fingers and hope he's found a good one. Well, I tell you what, I'm a very happy man, and our director of football is stepping up and proving he's the right successor for John Still. Diogo Fernandez, 2 stints here because of him. And look at this guy, 3.5-star ability, 5-star potential, and for 1.3 million, and on 10 grand a week, or 9 grand a week, sorry, rising to 15 once he's played all his games. This could be an absolute gem, which I take no credit for. He's got lots of senior experience. He's good. I mean, he's not Premier League level by any stretch of the imagination, but by our standards, he's pretty good. He's also good in a right-back role. He can cover there if need be, and he can play wing-back too. So do you know what? I'm thrilled with that signing. And there has been talk at times about Ishmael going to Saudi. He's got a 25 million release clause. Of course, his injury has probably kiboshed that for now. But later down the line, he'll be a useful player. And off the bench this season is a better option than a Dan Cox or an Ezra Carrington. So thrilled with that, happy with the signing. Now the director of football is going again. He's made an offer on loan for Ronan Ferns from Celtic. We're not going to bring him in. I've looked at him before. He's rubbish. So he'll stay there. That one's not quite worked out. We have got to make a decision on Remy Galdin. Doesn't look like he's quite as good as we'd hoped. You can see his initial ability's poor, and we need a fix here and now. So with Sam Ammo in and that one done, I'm going to cancel that one as well. If nothing else happens on this deadline day, I'm happy with the signing I've made and the one the director of football's made. It's just now whether anyone leaves the club, because the more we're playing 3 at the back, I probably can't afford to let Dan Cox go. And there's not really anyone else wanted. So at the moment, I think this is about it. We'll see what happens in the last 9 hours. The director of football might surprise me again. Well, with 30 minutes to go, I think that's going to be it. We've had a couple of links during the day, and our director of football clearly thinks we're weak at left back because it's going back to Airbus with this. He made an offer for Greg Taylor as well, which we declined. And then later in the day, we were linked with a couple of players that were decent, but none of them that ended up getting done. David Shaw, I have shortlisted for the future. He's a good young player with a good personality, but he would be our record signing, and he'd be going back out on loan to League 1 or 2 level. So I don't think we can really say that that's a good investment at this stage. Later down the line, if we're an established Premier League club, then those sorts of signings would be great. But for now, I think deadline day is complete. Let's get through the final 30 minutes and then confirm our 2 signings. Well, there it is. Deadline day concludes, and it is Matej Lesnick for 1.3 million in from Slovenia, and a really good offer from our director of football that. Sam Ammo, a familiar face, comes back on loan to resolve that problem on the left-hand side, albeit as a loan deal rather than the permanent one we'd initially hoped for. But 2 players with decent championship ability and massive Premier League potential if they reach it. It's as simple as that. The wage expenditure, I mean, that shows its own story. I bet there's never been a smaller one in the 21st century in the Premier League. We've got a 4th of the budget of Bristol City, a 5th of Coventry, and everyone else in the league that was here last season, 7 or 8 times the amount or more. And even 3 times less than Luton at the start of this save. I wanted to show you the other one from earlier in the day as well, because that was quite an amusing one. Commercial income in the Premier League. And I talked about the fact that the three sides coming up were going to struggle this year, and it might be like the real life season we're seeing. And look at this, we have got a tenth of the commercial income of the fourth lowest in the league, and the three relegated clubs are both miles behind. It just shows how big the gulf is. It's not the Fulham and the West Hams that have come back up. It is Southend, Bristol City, and a Coventry side that have been away for nearly 30 years, and it shows. So it's going to be a difficult challenge. But of course, we have brought in two players to help us. And overall now, we have managed to get in a number of key signings, 8 or 9 to improve the squad, loads of players out on loan. And I'm sure in January there may well be 1 or 2 more. But for now, a very quick look at the staffing, because as I always tell you, the biggest thing you can do is improve the staffing at a club. We of course get an expanded team because we've come up to top tier level now. I'm trying to make sure we get the best in class for what we need. So I've gone and got a few people in who in real life I perhaps wouldn't. And one name in particular that struggled at Luton as manager. Graham Jones is in as a coach, currently at Newcastle in real life. We got a good scout in from Bristol Rovers, who is very good at his job. 16 for judging ability and potential. Lots of new youth coaches and whatever as well. And you can see I've constantly been expanding this team. We moved a few on. We improved the chief scout. Got one in from Hearts who's very solid and young. Ashley Cole comes in as a coach because defensively he's rated very well. We're going to need that this year. And then later on, we got Mark Robbins, the former Coventry manager. He's coaching our under-18s now. And it was actually a choice between him and Stuart Kettlewell, who manages in the SPL. So we're bringing in some good names and people who will help our next lot, because we got some good young players last year and we want to make sure they develop. And then 4 scouts have come in. Yannick Wildschut, he's okay, but he's got good knowledge of the Netherlands. We've brought in Nicholas Sinali, who's got South American knowledge and is great at judging people. We've got a French scout, formerly of Liverpool, who again is pretty solid but has great knowledge. And Kei Tamura, so we can try and get into that Japanese market where a number of wonder kids seem to come from in FM24. So hopefully they will help us out as well. But for now, let's look at the schedule. It's actually quite a frustrating way the fixtures have panned out, because normally those Bristol City and Coventry games would be 6-pointers, but I can't show you games that close together, surely. I don't feel you'd forgive me if I didn't show it. So I'm going to do Liverpool away and Coventry at home. 2 games on TV against teams at opposite ends of the table. And hopefully we'll be able to at least pick up the home win, as well as getting one against Bristol City, which is going to be crucial. We have got our first win, which neither of those have yet. Let's make sure we don't give it to them. But once we get through that, we face all the top teams. So we'll probably do Liverpool, Coventry next episode, and then go all the way to perhaps City and Arsenal at the start of December, because there's not many games between now and then. So if you're looking forward to that and you did enjoy this one, a familiar face and a new star by the director of football on deadline day, and please do put a thumbs up on the video. Let me know what you thought of the performance at Wolves and what we should do away from home. If we are able later down the line to get a Loftus-Cheek or someone in, we can pack that midfield with 3 players in there. But at the moment, with a lack of fitness and a lack of quality, it's maybe not quite so much of a viable option. At home, we did look good, but it was against the 4th worst team in the league. Let's see how we get on against the 2 fellow promoted clubs and then some of the big boys afterwards. Can we spring a surprise, or is it going to be a battle? Well, I think we've seen the answer to that already. If you want to stay up to date and see how the battle goes at the bottom, subscribe and turn that notification bell on. We'll be back in a couple of days' time for a huge game at home to fellow promoted rivals Coventry. But in the meantime, we'll be back tomorrow with a one-off special guide that was put back from last week. That relates to the dynamic screen. And then on Monday, we're back with a new season in the head coach. And that one's going to be interesting, with our director of football completely in control. So I hope you're looking forward to all of that. Thank you very much for watching as always. You can also find the Twitch channel, the football podcast, and all the other stuff up in the eye above. But for now, have a very good rest of the weekend. Hopefully we can find a positive result against Bristol City. And I'll see you back here on Tuesday as we head to Anfield in our first league game against one of the Premier League super clubs.